You know what? Actually, I have thought maybe I do have too high standards. So I tried to cater to what this person wanted, and it just slowly dwindled me into despair, honestly. And I think, you should keep those standards high. But if you've been single for a few years and you're just only focused on looks, then yeah, maybe your standards on looks are too high. But just from my own personal experience, I have definitely been in what I would consider a toxic relationship. And I'm not even calling the person I dated toxic. It was just toxic for myself, because for whatever reason, we're just not compatible. And I'm still thinking, okay, something's going to change. Like I just need to wait until it gets better. So you're saying that you were the toxic one?
There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a YouTuber. And when I say that, what I mean is there's a lot wrong with it. It's really fucked up and it'll ruin your life, but I don't want to talk about it in this video. We are talking about the question of why Nina and Randa have been trapped in this endless cycle of coming on YouTube and complaining that they can't get a man, can't get married, that they're stuck being single as years and years go by and they creep ever closer towards age 30. And I start with that disclaimer because I do not think for one moment that the problem is that they're YouTubers or that we should blame their predicaments in life on the fact that they do YouTube. And let's be clear, blaming YouTube for your bad content is like blaming your word processor for why you write bad poetry. Blaming the microphone for why you can't rap. It's true to a limited extent if the microphone is really terrible or if your keyboard doesn't have the letter O on it. Your ability to write poetry is going to be hampered. Your ability to record rap music is hampered. But I was looking at a YouTuber the other day called Lindy Botes. She pronounced her first name Lindy. Completely boring language education YouTuber. Nothing interesting about it. Don't recommend the channel at all. Okay? Lindy Botes and her YouTube channel giving you advice on how to learn Spanish and how to learn French better and this kind of thing. There's no sense in which her YouTube channel is an obstacle to her finding a job. There's no sense in which her YouTube channel is an obstacle to her finding a boyfriend. But for Nina and Randa, it really is. One of the first things that's very striking about Nina and Randa's content is that they're childish. And most men, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the vast majority of men avoid childish women, even if they're not aware that they're doing it, right? And let me tell you something about childishness. If you're childish at age 26, 27, whatever they're up to now, they're in that ballpark, the odds are you're not just going to be equally childish at 37 and 47. You can become more childish. Shout out to anyone here who's ever volunteered in an old folks home. Elderly people can just sink into being very self-indulgent, very childish, retired people. Oh no, I don't like my pancakes cooked that way. No, I want it more runny on one side and more well done on the other. I used to work at a Starbucks. We'd have elderly and retired people all the time making these unbelievably finicky requests and returning something as being not the way they wanted it and stuff. And it's like, dude, like you're behaving like a 6-year-old and you're older than 60, So getting older is not getting wiser. Getting older is not being more mature. And people who've managed to make it to age 26, 27 while remaining childish, the odds are they're going to stay childish, okay? The significance of YouTube itself and social media itself in the slow motion train wreck that is the lives of Nina and Randa, I think it's also significant, or okay, put it this way. Its significance is much, much, much greater because they pursued social media to the exclusion of other opportunities, right? So in economics, this is called opportunity cost. It's not just that they do YouTube. It's that they chose to do YouTube instead of going to university, right? Now, this is something where I'm not comfortable generalizing about the majority of people or 90% or even 10% of people, okay? I think I'm unusual this way, and my girlfriend Melissa is unusual this way. I would completely be willing to date someone who dropped out of high school or who never completed university, completely. I would be completely willing to be in a relationship and get married to someone who was a career waitress, where she was a waitress today and looking in the future, she was going to continue being a waitress, okay? But, there's then something to be explained there. Like, I have the strength of character to say to my mother, my father's deceased, but I'd say to say to my parents, right? Oh, look, I'm in love with this person. This is the person I'm going to marry. And she's a high school dropout and she just works as a waitress. But here's why she's a really great person anyway. Like, here's why I love her. Here's why she has redeeming qualities that are way more important. And that may be true. The point is not that it's impossible to meet someone who's a high school dropout or a college dropout who's a wonderful person. That exists. The point is there's then a burden on me as the man to explain to my parents and explain to my colleagues and my friends and even to explain to my kids one day if we have kids together, why did you choose this person who had these obvious disadvantages, who made these bad choices in life, who ended up dropping out of high school, dropping out of college, or just being a waitress? So now hypothetically, it's easy for me to imagine redeeming qualities for why I would choose someone who didn't have those kinds of formal attainments or a positive career. It's easy for me to make a list of all the wonderful things that could be true of someone in the abstract that would compensate for that. But the point is to recognize I have the strength, I have the detachment, I have the character to stand up for my woman when there's something there other people are going to raise an eyebrow at or sneer at or just regard as low status socially. And what most men want in Western culture is to not have to make those excuses. Most men don't want to have to explain to other people why they married a college dropout or a gym fitness instructor or a stripper or a waitress. Most men, again, I think they may not be conscious of this, they may not be aware of this, but one of the reasons they would want to marry a lawyer, a woman who's become a lawyer, is just so that they never have to have that conversation. Just so that they're in a position where their status in their own family is unchallenged, that their parents regard this as a good match, a good choice, what have you. Look, my ex-wife had a PhD from Cambridge University. That sounds respectable. And I've been in situations where you can see how differently everyone behaves if I describe her that way. Like, she's not there. Like, I'm talking to people from, oh yeah, I met, I got married to a woman from, with a PhD from Cambridge University. Oh, okay, now that's a completely different reaction from same people who are just getting to know me, more or less complete strangers. And, I did this. I've been in the situation. It's like, oh yeah, my wife, she's a woman who used to sing jazz in Beijing. And, I met her in Yunnan. She's a French woman who was singing jazz in Beijing at the time when I met her. So, I could mention other things about her life and what she was doing. She studies Chinese or something. Put it together where you leave that out and be like, the reaction you get and the onus that's on you, the question of justifying your relationship, your choice, your love. And then again, what that says about you. What does it say about you if you're the guy who settled for a college dropout who teaches fitness classes at the gym, right? And that is Nina Randa's situation. I would say in the city of Los Angeles, being a college dropout fitness instructor at the gym is regarded as very low status. And then if what you're doing on YouTube is of such incredibly low intellectual caliber that you're not developing yourself as a person, you're remaining unbelievably childish. They do these childish, terrible comedy sketches, terrible songs, and so on. Look, regardless of whether or not they're innately childish people, they're always broadcasting their childishness. They're acting out their childishness. It's obvious they're not in any way ashamed of their childishness, and they're not working to improve themselves in any way. I said this the other day in a totally different context. Melissa and I were talking to my mom, and I said to my mom, deadpan serious, look, I think that making YouTube videos can be much more educational than going to university. There's no comparison, right? If you want to, you can challenge yourself to read a new book every week and come on here and do an analysis of the book and engage in a conversation with another YouTuber about the book. This is not even talking about the role of the audience. If you're making YouTube videos and nobody is watching, you can take this platform as an opportunity to give yourself an unbelievably rigorous education. You can work through a list of books. You can challenge your own ignorance. You can grow tremendously as a person. And then viewers, if you have any, they're going to see that development. Now, again, a really boring YouTuber like Lindy Boats, I'm sure if you look at her channel, you see something like that. You see earlier in her channel, she was studying Korean, and now she's studying Japanese and French, and she has some kind of job as a computer programmer. You get to see the things in her life as she develops. And I assume in the next 5 years, you're going to see where her life goes to. You're not going to see someone locked in this kind of perpetual, self-indulgent, petulant childhood. You're going to see someone where, again, you wouldn't be ashamed to introduce them to your parents. You wouldn't be ashamed to introduce them to your circle of friends or say, yeah, this is the woman I chose. This is the person I chose to marry. Okay? So, yeah, there is nothing shameful about YouTube in the same sense that there's nothing shameful about a mirror. But YouTube, no doubt, I mean, much more profoundly than any mirror, it provides us with an opportunity to reflect on what our lives are, what they were, what we're aspiring to become, and then what we actually become. All right? I get to come here on YouTube, and sometimes this happens accidentally. Like YouTube recommends my own videos to me. I can click on a video I made 5 years ago. I can click on a video I made when I was studying Japanese, not Chinese, right? I can click on a video I made that talks about my life in Cambodia when I was doing humanitarian work. I can click on a video that comes from the short span of time when I was enrolled in a college learning how to bake bread, a technical college for baking and cuisine. I can see these moments in my life and moments in my relationship with my girlfriend, Melissa, even moments in my relationship with my mom, moments in my relationship with my daughter, and I can see the trajectory I was on, and I can see the aspiration. And we're only talking about the last 5 or 6 years of my life now, right? I wasn't on YouTube 10 years ago, right? So, yeah, it's very easy to blame the mirror when really what you need to do is examine your own intentions. Look at what it is that's being reflected there. Because YouTube gives us all a kind of awesome power like never before to ask the question, what have I become?
I mean, really, people like to disrespect my crew, but the fact is that you know my name and I don't know you.